All righty. Welcome back. Alabama Politics This Week. Josh Moon, David Person. Thanks to Congresswoman Terri Sewell. Our thanks to Bill Britt from APR.
Wait. I think we need to start calling her Congresswoman Terri Hell No Sewell.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's because she was fired up, man.
She was fired up. She's still mad about that. It was very good. But we really appreciate her coming on, spending some time, and for the work that she does. I'm not lying about that. I mean, we get the emails and the press releases from all of the offices every day. All of your representatives, your U.S. reps and your senators, and the ones that we get the most from, Terri Sewell's number one. And it's always she's having a job fair, she's having a food drive, she's hosting a listening session about this or that, she's having a virtual town hall, she's doing. I mean, it's constant. It is. I'm serious. I can't express to you. It's not a home. This is not a homer. I'm not saying the same thing about any other Democrat. She is. I don't know when she has time for a break at any point, but and she does it. Number two on there is Katie Britt. Whether you agree with her or not, it is a constant deluge of press releases of things that she's doing and places she's going and ways you can connect with her and stuff. And man, it's not surprising that those two people are consistently voted as the more popular representatives for their people. And, you got to get out and do it. And we're giving a free pass to a lot of folks who aren't doing shit, man.
Yeah, Katie Britt to me she's such a conundrum for me because there are moments when I just think, wow, that makes a lot of sense what she's doing. Or wow, that's a really, that's a pro-Alabama compassionate thing she's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's some times and I'm just like, what the freaking blankety blank? What is she doing? Why is she saying that crazy stuff? Or why is she doing that crazy stuff? She's just she's a conundrum for me, man.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I've never been more conflicted about a person. I knew Katie well before she was elected. I knew her. I actually covered her husband in college when he played for Alabama, Wesley. Wesley was one of the nicest people that I've ever covered. One of the more patient, nicest guys that I've ever been around. I don't know him very well since then, and I only knew him in that setting, and so it was not like we were pals. I had expectations of Katie being Richard Shelby, of her going up,
boy, that would have been
the job. Remaining above the fray, being a voice of reason, a voice of calm, that's who I thought she was going to be. And too often she's gotten sucked into these hyper partisan issues and fights over things, and by choice. Now I say sucked into it as though I'm absolving her. I'm not. I shouldn't have said it that way. That was a mistake on my part. She's entered that fray of her own free will. I can't even see any advantage to her for doing some of the stuff. I know what they'll say is that it's, the Trump people are constantly haranguing them for this or that. But some of this stuff, you got to say, look, that's not an advantage to me. I'm not doing that. And they haven't done it. And then on the other hand, I also know the work that she has done with the HBCUs. I know she has been a great friend to our friend at Alabama State, Quentin Ross. Tuskegee just gave her an honorary doctorate degree the other day. I know she's also been very friendly with Dr. Wims and the folks at Alabama A&M.
I think the same with Drake State too. I think.
She's done a lot for a lot of the HBCUs around, and not just HBCUs. I think she's done a lot for some other programs that aren't often, the work is not very often highlighted. And here's the other thing. She is always around. She is always somewhere. I mean, she is always at different places and talking to people. She was at Auburn when we were at Auburn the other day. She's at Alabama games constantly. She's, she was at the Magic City Classic dancing with folks in the parking lot. She's always there and always available to talk to people. And you're right. It's such, you're like, man, damn, Katie's okay. And then the next day you're like, hey, man, what, Katie? What are you talking about?
Right.
Have you lost your mind? And it's just, you're completely right. It's just, I don't know. I don't
And
know. I don't know.
I'm really framing this in terms of two things. One, what's in the best interest of the state, and there are times when I think she does things that are absolutely unequivocally in the best interest of the state, and
Yes.
times when I think she doesn't, including, some of that crazy stuff that she sometimes says that's just Trumpian kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other thing, though, like you pointed out, I spent, when I was on the Huntsville Times editorial board, I sat in meetings with Richard Shelby on multiple
Yeah.
occasions, and I'm telling you, even though I didn't agree with his politics, that was a smart man, and he
Yes.
was a decent man, and
Yes.
he had integrity, and I'd say, comparatively speaking, when I because that's when Mo Brooks was in office, and there were other really just hyper partisan people in this state, who took opportunities to get up there and just go off on these crazy partisan tangents. When Richard Shelby talked,
Yeah.
very rarely did I hear him say anything that was ridiculously partisan.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Extremely rarely. Now again, didn't agree with his politics,
Right.
but I agreed with the way he handled his politics.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and and I don't think he put his politics over what was in the best interest of the state. And that's why I had so much respect for him.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And there are other people around this state currently, Republicans who I appreciate the way that they govern. I appreciate the way that they behave themselves. I don't agree with them, but I appreciate the way that they conduct themselves, the way that they speak to people, the way they talk about the issues with the and gives them the important weight that they deserve. And they don't use words like woke and libtard or whatever, sort of nonsense is now become fashionable for stupid people to get elected because they attract other stupid people to vote for them. Where you're just playing to that lowest common denominator out there, and hoping that the attention that you get from saying outrageous, dumb things is enough to get you elected, because then people recognize your name and they'll just vote, they'll bubble in your name because you said something stupid or you've fought the liberal agenda or whatever, nonsense that you can put out there, where you can actually walk into a room like a Richard Shelby, and talk about the issues of the day and explain your position on those issues in a way that makes sense. And that's all I think most people are looking for out of
Yes.
this, is somebody. I don't have to agree with you on things. There are people that I have conversations with every day, very cordial conversations that I have conversations with them all the time about different stuff. And we laugh and we joke and we're good friends. And in the political realm, whenever they get to that, we have a conversation about what we both believe and why we believe it. I'll tell them that I think they're wrong, and they tell me that they think I'm wrong. And here's the reasons why we believe that. Those are good, important conversations to have. They have changed my way of thinking about certain things. I'm not going to be a conservative on those issues, but I do recognize their position and where my position may be flawed because of my viewpoints. And
Hmm.
that sort of
Hmm.
introspection into these complicated issues, because a lot of these things are complicated. Okay, a lot of
Hmm.
these issues are there. There should be two sides, and we shouldn't meet in the middle. But we're not getting there
Josh,
now.
one of the best conversations from a journalistic standpoint that I ever had was with former Governor Bob Riley, and it was about the death penalty.
Yeah,
And he and I sat one on one in the conference room at the Huntsville Times. And we talked he gave me about 20 or maybe 25 minutes after an editorial board meeting that we had had with him. And at the end of that conversation, I had to say to him, look, I don't agree with you any more than I did at the beginning, but I understand you better. And that was because we were able to have a rational exchange. It wasn't charged with any hyper partisanship or anything like that. It was just, me asking him, sincere questions, and he giving me, I think, sincere answers. Now, I didn't
Yeah.
agree with his positions, but they were sincere answers, and he was making an attempt to try to really make sense of his position to me, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a value, and I think we lose that sometimes. You know, I'm unabashedly liberal, I'm unabashedly a Democrat, but there is value in being able to sit down with somebody on the opposite side and having a constructive conversation. And
Yeah.
I think we lose that sometimes. I think
Oh,
we
we lose it
forget
a
that
lot.
sometimes.
We've lost it.
Yeah.
Listen, and this is going to be my bias coming through here, but it's true. It's the absolute truth. One side has made compromise, a dirty word. And they have forbade it, among their members. And if it's literally, they compromise with the Democrats, they compromise with someone, he compromised your rights with, by what, yeah, that's campaign ads, that they've run against these people. And it is, it's atrocious. It is defeating the very foundation of the government of this country. Okay. This is the reason that we have the government that we have, and the way that it operates is so that you have representatives of the people that can come together and explain their constituents, the overall view of their constituents on particular issues, and everybody can work out a compromise that works for everyone. Okay. And I don't expect any Democrat that I elect to never go in and talk and compromise with the Republicans on things. I don't expect that at all. I do expect that when you are facing a situation in which 4 million Americans are going to lose their health care coverage because of subsidy cuts that are giving tax breaks to the wealthy, then I do expect you to go in and hold your ground on that. I don't expect you to get everything that you want, but I do expect you to get something. I don't expect you to go in and hold up shut the government down for 41 days and then walk away with I don't expect that at all, because I think then you've undermined the entire process of what you've just done, and you've told people that what was happening was not all that important, but that you were grandstanding, and because that's what people believe out of this now, is that you were just simply grandstanding, and that it all wasn't all that important, and now you've undermined the entire effort of this.
Did you hear Lawrence O'Donnell's analysis of that on MSNBC? He had an interesting take that I think fell short, and it's because of something that I think you're alluding to. His take was, well, they didn't lose everything. He said we got, we ended the chaos, or at least laid the groundwork to end the chaos as it relates to what's happening with air travel in our country. We ended the, we laid, he's saying they laid the foundation for people to get back pay, the furloughed employees to get their back pay, and to get and for people to be rehired. So he was saying it wasn't a complete loss. And I think that has merit, but I think it falls short. And I think this is where what you were just saying comes into play, Josh. And that is that the problem is, and all of that is good. What Lawrence O'Donnell said was good on MSNBC. But here's the problem. The very thing that they said they were fighting for, they didn't get.
Yes.
The one thing that they insisted this was all about, the 41 days that you talked about, the one thing that they insisted it was about was protecting health care. And they got Jack you-know-what on that.
Yeah. No, it's 100%
And
right.
that's the problem. And that's the problem. Despite whatever pressures they alleviated and whatever other gains there were, all that is good, but they didn't get the one thing.
Yeah, well, and here's the other thing is all of that other stuff that they're talking about, all the other stuff that you said you're getting, you're essentially negotiating with the terrorist who's continuing to do these things, and you're saying, well, now the terrorist has agreed to stop doing the bad things that he's been doing. All right, that's I mean, they're not giving the back pay. That's fucking law. He's got to give him the back pay. Saying that he's not is a threat in the negotiation. Ending the air traffic stuff. That's that's because of the government shutdown. That's what the air traffic stuff was about. I mean, what I just the justification some people have for folding on things is just off charts. Not to mention exactly what you said. The one thing this whole thing was about was you said this was so serious that we've got to risk people starving in the streets out there, and so we've got to shut this down because these people are going to lose their health care. And now you 8 dipshits have walked in and said, it's okay. We got to keep going. They were never going to bend. They were going to bend. They were going to bend.
I think
they were
so
going to
too.
fold.
Yeah. In fact, I was telling one of my Democratic friends out there that I think the closer things got to Thanksgiving, the more pressure there was going to be on Republicans to cave. And I think if we had gotten to Thanksgiving, if they hadn't caved by then, they were definitely going to cave at that point, because we know that Thanksgiving and travel and having the ability to eat and fellowship with your family and your loved ones, that's something all Americans value, whether they believe in the fable of Thanksgiving or not. They value that time.
Yes.
And there's no way that the Republicans were going to be able to survive going into Thanksgiving season with all this chaos and with people not having their benefits and everything else.
You know what I think?
What's that?
I think you're right. First of all, I think you're right. But what I think is I think Schumer and some of these other people believed that because the messaging apparatus for the Democratic Party is so fucking awful, they believed that they were going to get blamed for travel issues at Thanksgiving. That's what I think that they believed. I think that they believed that these flight cancellations and stuff were going to be laid at their feet, and that the Republican folks, because they have a much better messaging apparatus, because they've put in the work and they've actually paid people to be their mouthpiece. And you can listen, people can bitch and moan all they want to about, the Republicans or Trump paying off influencers or paying media people to be loyal to them or whatever. You know what? You can bitch about it if you want to, or you can join the game and get in the fight and actually counter this stuff, because it is patently obvious at this point that the American public could give a shit, okay, about whether or not somebody's paid or not paid, or whether they're loyal or disloyal, or what. It's look, as bad as I hate to say it as a journalist out of this thing, this is the world that we live in now, okay? You have people that equate Fox News with the NBC and CBS and all the other regular normal outlets out there, and they give them the same weight and validity, it's a ridiculous world that we're in. Okay, it's a ridiculous world that we're in. But you could say that you could just march around stamping your feet and talking about how unfair it is, or you can get the fucking game and start paying off your own damn people to send out your message and get your messaging out there and start doing some stuff. We were talking about this in the break. I can't tell you the number of Democrats that call us or talk to us on a daily basis. I won't say us, I'll say me. Call me or talk to me or send me emails on a daily basis wanting shit for free. Okay, wanting this covered, wanting that covered, wanting us to do this, wanting us to do that, wanting us to run this, wanting us to run that. Well, never. Hey, man, how about we got some ads for you. How can we help support this program in which you're, providing, all of our members in this party a platform to come on and tell their side, which we're happy to do. But who makes that happen? The folks at Wind Creek Entertainment make that happen, who have no fucking vested interest at all in what's taking place here. They're not gaining anything out of this from the party. They're the ones who make it happen. The folks at SPLC make it happen. So the other folks that listen and donate and do other things to us for us to make this thing go round, they're the ones who make this happen. Okay? They're the ones who make this happen. There have been some folks. There have been a handful of people who have supported us over the years. Anthony Daniels comes to mind. That have supported us over the years and have done great things to help us in this podcast and to get us started and to get this thing going and get it off the ground and to help pushing us along. All right, and Anthony has been instrumental in a lot of that stuff. But where the hell is everybody else? Okay. Look at all of the damn Republican podcasts and radio shows and people and whatever news organizations that are out there that are breaking in money hand over fist to do these things. And listen, I'm not wanting to compete with them on a money basis or, to be driving around in a Rolls Royce or anything out here. Nothing. But,
Right.
I mean, at the same time, man, do you want to question why this messaging thing works the way it does? It's because they're fucking paying their people, man. And so it's what the Don Draper. That's what the money is for. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that we're still having this fight and this argument and stuff, and they don't see it. But that, to me, is exactly why I think that Schumer caved. And you hear it in the conversations that they have where they kind of slip up and they keep talking about, listen, we were getting to a travel time. We had to get this travel situation taken care of. That's what they're talking about, man. They were scared to death of going through the Thanksgiving holidays and flights being canceled and people having to drive or not being able to make it to their family stuff and people being pissed because they knew they didn't have the media apparatus and the messaging apparatus in place to put it on the Republicans as they should. And they were worried they were going to lose this damn fight over this thing. And so that's why I think they caved.
Yeah, and you may be right about that. It's stunning to me when we were interviewing Congresswoman Sewell a few minutes ago. She ran through a litany of things that I thought, well, these are all great talking points. Are we going to see in the 2026 election cycle, a recitation of all of the problematic things that Trump has done that people like Tuberville and Britt and others have co-signed on either directly or tacitly. $40 billion to Argentina, the Great Gatsby Party, $300 million for this golden ballroom, the gross immoral opposition to funding SNAP. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that the Democratic Party and Democratic candidates, they need to tie that stuff around the neck of every single, Trump so-called MAGA Republican. Tie it around their necks like a noose or hang it around their necks like an anchor. Let it drag them down to the bottom of the political sea. That's what needs to happen.
It amazes me so much sometimes how the inability to connect with the average person out there. All right, listen, and there are a lot of things that I'm very bad at. I'm very, very bad at. Okay, that I should be better at, and it frustrates me to no end. But one of the things that I think I'm pretty decent at is determining what resonates with regular people. All right. I think that's one of the reasons why my columns and op-eds or whatever have been successful to the degree that they have, whatever small degree that is, but that they have, because they are
more
written
than small, more than small.
Listen, I think as somebody when I was covering ASU, there was an elderly black gentleman who would stop me at games all the time and talk to me, and he told me one of the first times that we talked, he said, "You know what I like about you? You put that down there where the goats can get it." And it's and I've thought about that I thought about that every day. About how
that's some old school wisdom right there.
Right. Yeah. And it's writing in a manner in which everybody can understand it. Okay. And using examples, which I think resonate with people. And I'll tell you the one that gets the most attention every time I write it, every time I talk about it. And it's the provision within that big, beautiful bill that allows billionaires to write off the full expense of their private jets. Okay. I don't understand how the fuck that's not in every campaign ad out there. He's taking away your health care so this guy can take and then flash up a picture of it in the bill where they can write off the full expense of their. How is that not? How is it not out there for everybody to see every single time? It should be the thing that people say and repeat constantly. It should be everywhere on everything that you do about how you've taken away health care, you've taken away food stamps, you've done X, Y, and Z, while at the same time you've given that guy the full cost of his private jet. That's what you're paying for. That's where the money's going, is to that bullshit. And missing those things is just, it drives me insane, man. It really does. It just, it just, I don't know. I can't deal with people sometimes, man. And it just, it irks me. And we brought up Anthony. I don't know how Anthony deals with people sometimes. I really don't. But to be in it the way that he's in it and dealing with people and picking, trying to find candidates and get people on the right page and to follow along. And I'll talk to him sometimes and listen to what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm just like, dude, damn, uh, shit. Hey, ain't no wonder parts of your body trying to quit. God bless. It's just trying to leave the whole party. Which, by the way, talked to him the other day. Still doing very well. He and his wife both, and so they're back over all of that. All right. Our bonehead of the week.
Yeah.
One Thomas Tuberville. It's been a week it's been a couple of weeks. What is he doing with the Muslim thing? This is some of the most racist shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, man. The fixation, and it's not only racist, it just really sounds stupid. I mean, when he said that after the mayor-elect, won his race, he says, Mandami, he says, New York is going to be Muslim in a few years, 100% Muslim. He's going to push all the people out. And then you start to think about the fact that, well, okay, so the current Muslim population of New York, I think, is something like 9% or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's double digits, or if it is, it's just barely double digits. So let's just be generous and say it's 10%. All right, so you got 10% of the population is Muslim. How is 10? And then your next biggest population of people from a religious standpoint. I'm sorry, the not next biggest, but the one under that is, I think, Jewish. I think he said was 9% or something.
Yeah.
And so the vast majority of religious New Yorkers are Christians. How does that even make sense? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And
he's just spouting shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then okay, so you got that stuff, that foolishness. Then you've also got the fact that he and his cronies, were able to get slid into this resolution that they just came up with, that they could sue the government for $500,000. The Republican senators who alleged that they were spied on by the Biden administration, right?
By Jack Smith during the
I should be clear. Thank you.
During that whole the investigation into the January 6th
Russia. Yeah.
No, it's the January 6th deal. Because that's the reason why they got Tuberville.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Was because Tuberville was in contact with Trump, and he said it several times. He said he was in contact with Trump, and they were looking for the people who planned it, and they're not looking at the conversation. They didn't have his text message. They didn't have anybody's text message.
They had the metadata.
They just had the call list is all they had. They just had who called.
I thought they had the metadata in terms of the numbers that were called and the time, the lengths of the calls, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I thought that was the metadata. Maybe I'm using the term wrong. Okay.
I really, you could be using it exactly correctly. But I'm just saying they had the that information, that basic information that they subpoenaed from the providers. It just, I mean, you know what though? I have a hard time calling him the bonehead for that. That's not on him. Of course he would want the $500,000. I mean, that's who he is. But I'm naming the right-wing boneheads for that. How do you sign off on that? I mean, my God.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I really wonder if they knew it was in there, because at least based on the reporting that I read, it sounds like they were kind of caught off guard by that. and they didn't realize until after the fact, which again doesn't make a lot of sense because you should know what you're agreeing to before you agree to it,
Yeah.
so
Before you sign it. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, just, man, because you've got a staff. It's not like they have to read it
yeah,
themselves.
that's
There's
right.
a staff there that they could assign. Hey, read this. Make sure I don't sign up for some really dumb shit here.
Mhm, mhm.
Man,
Yeah.
I just,
But I blame him. I blame him to this degree though, Josh, the fact that I think somebody wanted it in there. And I'm assuming that it was somebody that represented him and those other Republicans, and that's how it got in there. So I
yeah,
blame them for wanting it in there, for making sure it got in there, and then, like you said, I blame the Democrats for not being thorough enough to know that it was in there and challenge that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's, all in all, it's been a hell of a week. It really has. So, let's, I guess let's get out of here. And until next week, y'all be safe out there if you can.
Peace.